Welcome to this online service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. Our mission is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Tej Jotani, and I am a member of the Sunnyhill Youth Group. While we cannot be together in body today, we are grateful to be together in spirit as we gather in this virtual space. It's not the same thing as being with each other physically, but it's what we have for now, and we hope that you will find this time comforting and sustaining. If you are a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please let us know you're here by posting a comment on our live Facebook feed, or by getting in touch with our membership director, Bethany Thornton, at sunnyhillmembership@gmail.com. We would love to let you know how you can connect with the congregation even during this time when our building is closed. Water, earth, fire, air. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace when the Avatar kept balance between the water tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and air nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar mastered all four elements. Only he could stop the ruthless firebenders. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 100 years have passed, and the Fire Nation is nearing victory in the war. 2 years ago, my father and the men of my tribe journeyed to the Earth Kingdom to help fight against the Fire Nation, leaving me and my brother to look out for our tribe. Some people believe that the Avatar was never reborn to the air nomads, and that the cycle is broken, but I haven't lost hope. I still believe that somehow, the Avatar will return to save the world.
With change that flows fast and fluid as water, we must push through fiery anger, remain grounded, and find a wind of hope to carry us through. The flame of our chalice this morning is a symbol of the light we need to guide us through these hard times. The light of community, the light of love, and the light of hope.
Hi everyone, please join me in singing today's hymn, Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand. giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The Earth and I by Frank Ash. The earth and I are friends. Sometimes we go for long walks together. I tell her what's on my mind, and she listens to every word. Then I listen to her. The earth and I are friends. We play together in my backyard. I help her to grow, and she helps me to grow. I sing for her, and she sings for me. I dance for her, and she dances for me. And when she's sad, I'm sad. But when she's happy, I'm happy. The earth and I are friends. The end.
Before Ella shares our joys and sorrows for today, I want to let everyone know that Sunnyhill will be holding a virtual Vesper service tonight, Sunday, June 7th at 8 o'clock p.m. to mourn the deaths caused by racist violence and to recommit to work in solidarity with those who are oppressed and marginalized so that everyone can breathe. That's online only tonight at 8 o'clock, and you can watch on Sunnyhill's Facebook page or YouTube channel. Please join us and help spread the word. Thank you.
Each week at this time in the service, we share joys and sorrows submitted by members of the congregation. We share the things that we are celebrating, as well as the things that we are mourning, so they do not need to be held alone. Joys and sorrows may be submitted online from our website. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." A joy from Lindsay Downs. Last week, Lindsay shared that her mom, who has stage 4 ovarian cancer, went to the ER in a lot of pain and was admitted into the hospital. Lindsay says that her mom is now out of the hospital, comfortable, and happy to be home. To Lindsay, her mom, and her family, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow. We grieve the ongoing use of violent police tactics in dealing with peaceful protests that have sprung up around the country and around the world. We hope that all those who have been harmed will heal and will continue the fight for justice. To all those injured by police at otherwise peaceful protests, we hold you in our hearts. A joy. It is amazing to see so many people taking part in protests and other actions whose aim is to expose the deadly results of white supremacy and to put an end to racist policing policies and procedures. There are many ways to support this movement, which is growing stronger by the day. To all people who are supporting or taking part in these protests and other actions, we hold you in our hearts. We also hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows held too closely to be shared at this time. Thank you.
Please join me in the spirit of meditation. Get comfortable where you are sitting. In the spirit of grounding, please plant your feet firmly on the floor if you are willing and able. Stretch any parts of your body that feel stiff. Release any tension you may be holding in your neck, in your shoulders, in your jaw. When you feel comfortable, slowly let your eyelids fall to a close. Take a long, slow breath in through your nose. Feel your stomach fill with air. Hold this breath for a moment. Then, slowly exhale the breath through your mouth. If it helps you to concentrate on your breathing, you can count the seconds of your inhales, holds, and exhales, making sure to keep the intervals even. Take notice of your feet rooted to the floor or earth beneath you. Feel the slight pressure of them pushing against the ground pushing back against them. Now, I want you to imagine the sturdy roots of a tree growing out of the soles of your feet and tunneling into the earth. You are connected to the earth. You are another of Mother Nature's beautiful creations of life. The roots weave their way deeper and deeper into the earth below you, anchoring you, planting you, steadying you. Let yourself wholly experience this feeling of groundedness, solidity, and connectedness. The roots continue to travel down through the soil, but now slowly take your attention away from your feet. Moving up the body, notice your legs, the slow movement of your stomach as you breathe, the rise and fall of your chest, the beating of your heart, the way that your head is supported by your neck. Allow your attention to fall to the top and center of your forehead. You may recognize this as your crown chakra. Visualize branches slowly emerging from this area, reaching for the sky above you. If there is a ceiling or roof separating yourself and the sky, the branches pay no mind and peacefully phase through any obstacles. The branches twist and turn as they travel upwards into the air. Let them be free. Experience this feeling of expansiveness and infiniteness. Now, bring your attention back to your body as a whole. Visualize the image of your limitless roots and branches anchoring you deep into our earth and sending you far into the sky. Now, slowly, and as you feel ready, begin to reel your roots and branches back into yourself. Let them take their time on the journey back. When you are ready, allow yourself to re-enter the space you are in. Wiggle your toes, your fingers, and eventually open your eyes. Reconnect with your surroundings. As you go throughout your day, remember that all you need to connect fully with the earth deep below and the sky high above is already and always inside of you.
This year was going pretty great for me, especially for my first year in high school. I was making lots of friends, my grades weren't too bad, and I was getting involved in many different extracurriculars, including taking part in my first ever high school musical. It seems that nothing could get in the way of this seemingly perfect year. And then time froze. All of a sudden, everything that was going great about this year was stripped away. The school musical is canceled, the grading system is now downgraded to a pass-fail system, and I can't meet up with any of my friends without fear of passing a deadly respiratory virus. Such is the life of a teenager during a global pandemic. This quarantine feels like it's taking forever. I look back on this past week, and I feel like I've aged a month. However, I look back on where I was this past month, and feel like it's only been a week. It's weird how little time can pass over such a long period of time. This warped sense of time is, for lack of a better word, horrible. But especially for us youth. We're at a place in our lives when time is already so precious to us. The clock is constantly ticking down on our days left as children. At our age, we should be exploring our opportunities and learning about how the world works outside of our sheltered communities. Instead, we're stuck at home, forbidden from physically interacting with anyone, and held back from going anywhere. Our experiences during this time warp can be challenging, but sharing our ideas and feelings can help us find common ground and remind us that we are not alone. We have fiery anger at the rapid change of our daily lives, which soon becomes dull and repetitive as we're grounded to our homes, seemingly without any hope. Yes, this time warp is terrible, but sharing our experiences with each other can give us the flutter of hope we need to tether ourselves to time as we once knew it.
March 13th, 2020 was an exciting day for me. Tech rehearsal for Mount Lebanon High School's evening theater company production of A Wrinkle in Time had begun, and we would have our tech dinner that evening, a tradition the Friday before opening night. I was playing the role of Meg's friend Calvin, and we were doing much better than we usually are a few nights before opening. Then the announcement came over the loudspeaker as we all gathered for rehearsal. We would not be returning to school. All upcoming events were canceled. My castmates and I, some of whom have been together in theater class for the past 4 years, sat in a circle, crying, yelling. We were crushed and enraged by this news. Our theater teacher wept quietly. This was to be the last production of our high school careers, and it was just gone, in a flash, up in flames. When you hear the word fire, what do you picture? A raging inferno destroying a forest? A campfire with friends gathered around it singing songs? Even a small flame sitting in a chalice? Our symbol is one of fire, a flaming chalice, symbolizing the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Whatever you imagine, fire is a powerful force, one that brings light and joy, peace and comfort, warmth and life, or destruction and ash. We use verbs like raging when describing the way fire consumes. The correlation between rage and the destruction ravaged by the current pandemic is, I think, fitting. For the past 4 years of my life, I have worked towards one goal that has stayed constant: a passage into adulthood. This manifests in graduation ceremonies, senior trips, and a freedom to travel. In my darkest times, I could always look ahead to the future and know that no matter what was happening in the moment, when I turn 18 and graduate, I would be free to reshape my life into whatever I wanted. I look around myself now and see only the walls of my own home, or rather my yard, and realize that these plans are off the table for the foreseeable future. Just 2 months before I was supposed to enter the freedom of adulthood, a global pandemic stopped all movement. My first emotion at this news of a national shutdown was rage. The first event I lost to this pandemic was my final school play, something that my castmates and I had worked so hard towards over the course of months, and it was the culmination of all my acting work since I was a kid. While this single event was devastating, it was also something that we would all overcome, of course. But we can't deny that we are angry. It was the first rock in a landslide of heartbreaks that would come for the class of 2020 and really everyone as a result of this pandemic. That initial reaction was an important one, though, and one that I think many people, especially seniors, shared. The things we had worked so long and so hard on were consumed by the pandemic. There is so much to be angry about. The ineptitude and carelessness of our government's reaction to this pandemic, the loss of that symbolic bridge into adulthood that comes with graduation and a last day of school, the ignorance of those who choose to reject science and carelessly encourage the spread of the virus. There is a raging fire in us, and for perfectly good reason. But we have to understand that fire. Since I was 6 years old, I've been in the Boy Scouts, so I know some things about starting fires. Of course, a powerful fire requires 3 main ingredients: fuel, air, and proper guidance. You must fuel a fire properly to keep it going. This is why pouring propellant on it is counterintuitive. It may burn large for a moment, but it will die much quicker. You must put your tinder, then your kindling, then your fuel will keep it burning. Proper airflow will allow the fire to breathe. Fire is living, it must be fueled, and it must breathe. Without air, a fire will die quickly, or more likely not even start. Too much air, though, will put the fire out. A flame has to be cared for, like any living thing. It must be watched both to make sure it stays alive and to make sure it doesn't get out of control. These 3 things, fuel, air, and guidance, create powerful flames that will continue burning as long as they are present. This situation we have all found ourselves in is a propellant, a can of gasoline that is being poured onto sparks of anger in all of us. The problem with pouring gasoline onto a spark, though, is that when that inferno stops, it goes out quickly and leaves a scorched mark on the ground where it burned. As this pandemic relentlessly carries on, it often feels like that is what is happening. That anger, that blaze is dying down, and we are beginning to feel that scorch mark of hollowness. The more time we spend apart from friends and family, the closer we move towards burning out. I was conquering my own depression and anxiety before this catastrophe began. I thought that I would overcome it soon, and then I was told that I would not be able to see my friends again until who knows when. What started as a raging fire began dying into an ashy mark, and the feeling of emptiness started coming back. I'm working on this, and I can't allow this to happen. We cannot allow this to happen. Fire can be destructive, but it can also provide warmth, power, and transformation. As long as there is a flame burning, we have a tool to work with. Fire is a symbol of creation, destruction, and rebirth. It is a tool like any other that can be abused, but when used properly, it's extraordinarily powerful. The most powerful movements in history were fueled by an inner fire. This anger that, like fire, can be transformative if tended. The anger that builds in the hearts of the disenfranchised empowers them to fight back. The fight and persistence fuels the fire. Air is the symbol of hope, and without it, fire cannot breathe, and change cannot come. However, too much air, too much hope, and those fighting in a movement will be falsely encouraged, and their flame will die out when they become disillusioned. And proper guidance is what is required of the movement's leaders, those who tend the fire. It seems like we're really lacking leaders to guide us right now. My theater teacher, Miss Majetic, has acted like a true leader. When faced with the heartbreaking situation of the cancellation of school and of our spring play, she harnessed all of our fire. That night, the night of our tech rehearsal dinner, as we angrily grieved our loss, she gave us the option to rehearse one last time. For the seniors, she said. The rehearsal was recorded and edited, and she arranged an online watch party for the evening theater company. She guided our flame and gave us something transformative from the ashes. This pandemic, while horrible and disturbing, can be the match that lights a new fire in us. When this global situation ends, no one is going to know how to restart, at least the way we think of as back to normal. We're going to enter a new normal, and that new normal has to be shaped by somebody. We can sit back and allow it to be shaped by billionaires and politicians, or we can make it ourselves. If we tend this fire properly and don't let it rage out of control, it can be more powerful than anything we've seen before. With the collective anger of this many people whose lives are being upturned, we can create a bonfire that wipes out the old status quo. Some may see anger as a negative emotion, one that leads to greed and violence, but that isn't what anger is. In the same way that sadness is crucial to understanding happiness, anger is crucial to understanding peace. And when properly channeled and used to our advantage, our fire can be a force so powerful, it can turn the old world on its head. Thank you.
I've got me a shovel, and I'm digging a ditch, and I'm gonna fight for this 4 square feet of land like a mean old son of a... I've got me a future, I'm not stuck on the past. I've got no new tricks, yeah, I'm up on bricks, but me, I'm a machine and I was built to last. I'm trying to get better cause I haven't been my best. She took a plain black mark and started writing on my chest. She drew a line across the middle of my broken heart and said, come on now, let's fix this mess. We can get better, because we're not dead yet. They threw me a whirlwind, and I spat back the sea. I took a battering, but I've got thicker skin, and the best people I know are looking out for me. So I'm taking the high road, my engine's running high and fine. May I always see the road rising up to meet me, and my enemies defeated in the mirror behind. I'm trying to get better cause I haven't been my best. She took a plain black marker, started writing on my chest. She drew a line across the middle of my broken heart and said, come on now, let's fix this mess. We could get better, because we're not dead yet. It's just a knot in the small of your back. You can work it out with your fingers. It's just a tune that gets stuck in your head. You can work it out with your fingers. It's just some numbers tangled up in your sums. You can work it out with your fingers. It's just a simple ground missing from the person you missed. A reminder you could always be a little bit better than this. So try and get better and don't ever accept less. Take a plain black marker and write this on your chest. Draw a line underneath all of this unhappiness. Come on now, let's fix this mess. We could get better, because we're not dead yet. We could get better, because we're not dead yet.
When I was younger, I used to go to a summer camp at Frick Park every July. I remember during one of the first days, we were learning about the life cycle of a frog. My counselor led us through the park, into the trees, and across a little bridge where we looked out over a lively pond. I had been watching an ant skitter across my sneaker when everyone heard a croak. We rushed over to the edge of the platform and saw him. Fat, funny looking, and sitting on a lily pad. The stampede of curious 8-year-olds startled the bullfrog, and he dove off the plant and swam away. I watched as he made contact with the surface of the water. It was peaceful, it almost seemed to welcome him. As he swam, the water flowed behind him in gentle ripples. I widened my gaze and saw just how much life the water added to the scenery. I pulled slightly on the strap of my counselor's backpack to get her attention. and quietly I asked, "Is water alive?" I remember being embarrassed when she told me it wasn't, but looking back, I understand how I could have been confused. We know that water isn't alive biologically speaking, but there's still something entirely human about it. I've noticed a comforting comparison that exists between ourselves and water. As humans, we possess a mind, a body, and a soul. Water can take the form of a liquid, solid, and a gas. Our body is the ice, solidified, rigid, and grounding. Our mind is the water, nourishing, fluid, moldable. And our soul is the vapor, invisible, limitless, and expansive. As humans, we have a lot in common with water, which also means we have a lot to learn from it. This pandemic has been taxing, physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, financially, emotionally. You could really go on forever. It feels that everything has changed, and so suddenly. So find comfort in tuning into that large role that water plays in our existence. We were fed vocabulary words in chemistry class to help explain the properties of water, vocabulary words that I should probably remember. But what really matters is this. Water has the ability to adapt, mold, and alter its own shape to fit the container that it's given. Change is difficult, and quarantine is a struggle, so allow water to be your guide. Take the shape of your new container. Adapt to try to see the best in things, even when it's hard. Things may look a bit different, feel a bit different, but you don't have to sacrifice any parts of yourself. No one truly knows when this will end, but it will. Until then, we just have to invoke the water, go with the flow, ride the wave. Thank you. Next, we'll have Emma, Stella, and Anushka playing Blue Boat Home.
Below me, I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far
In the beginning of the stay-at-home order, I found myself getting lost in hours of TV, 10 meals a day, and lots of online shopping. Soon, I found getting overwhelmed, anxious, and feeling restless becoming a part of my daily routine. And then one day at a family dinner, my dad announced that if me and my younger brother wanted electronic privileges the next day, we would have to get 7,500 steps the day before. Whether you got those steps from pacing across the TV room and binging TV, running on the treadmill in our basement, or taking a walk around the neighborhood, you had to get those 7,500 steps. So, the next day I put up my headphones on and took a walk. I met that bare minimum requirement every day and went back to surrounding myself with distractions. And then, on one particularly sunny day, I decided to walk a little bit longer. I didn't feel any of my worries on my shoulders. I found myself enjoying that moment. I realized the reason I felt so anxious was because I was grounding myself in the wrong things. I anchored my thinking into what life was before, and what I could have been doing if it wasn't like this, or what my life could be in a couple of months. I wasn't grounding myself in the moment, and not to sound cliche or anything, but from that moment on, I had a new perspective. I allowed myself to take life one day at a time, to cherish the moments that I was in, and not in what I could have been doing. We can't control anything that happens around us, but we can control our reaction. These long walks outside became a time where I could reground my mind. I found myself realizing the important things, thinking about new things I could try, and thinking about things in general. These walks became meditational to me. And I have never been much of an outdoor kind of girl, but the feeling of the sun on my shoulders instead of anxiety pushed me to want to be outside more. Whether it was having a socially distanced picnic or participating in my newly rediscovered hobby of reading, being outside helped me ground myself and forget my anxieties. Although everything is changing around us, we will always have the earth. And the earth is a constant calming presence to us all. And the greatest part about it is that all we have to do to reach it is walk outside our front door. Before quarantine, my life was moving so fast, and that's how I liked it. I was fearful of slowing down because I didn't want certain things to catch up to me. But this pandemic forced my life to slow down. And in doing so, I refocused on the most important things of my life and was able to reconnect with the things that I had taken granted before. Use this time to re-ground yourself, to take a step back, to allow life to slow down. Refocus on your goals. Refocus on what pushes you. Reground yourself in that person you always wanted to be. And let this time allow you to become it. To quote a movie that I recently watched when I was supposed to be taking my at-home religion final, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
The elements of fire, water, and earth, as explained by Elliot, Lexi, and Anushka,
have very universal symbols across all elemental myths and legends. Fire represents anger, water change, and earth groundedness. But the symbolism of wind isn't so agreed upon. In literary archetypes, wind is represented in a negative connotation. Characters who hear wind or see a storm approaching most often end up in conflict or some scary situation. However, when studying Native American legends and tales, the element of wind is a powerful symbol of life and is capable of communicating a language larger than life itself. Many tribes believe in an air spirit, thought to symbolize unity, freedom, eternity, and balance. This spirit gave hope to many Native American tribes in times of trouble, and allows them to communicate with higher beings, ancestors, and each other. In this unprecedented time when nothing seems certain or fair, communication has been essential for the well-being of students like me. Whether it be Zoom meetings, Netflix parties, or TikToks from 6 feet apart in school parking lots, the importance of human connection and unity has become even more apparent. Many times, we have to lose something like personal interaction in order to fully appreciate it. As a member of the class of 2020, we were told at a young age that we were the class of perfect vision. So this pandemic occurring during our graduation year is quite ironic, because missing out on our last 3 months of classes our senior year was definitely not something we envisioned. But instead of dwelling on lost events and activities like my high school graduation and prom, we must look towards the future, create new goals and new visions, and find silver linings. Throughout these last few months, air pollution has dropped significant amounts in major cities, like New Delhi, which experienced a 60% decrease in 2.5 micrometer particulate levels. Statistics like these give me hope, especially as a future environmental science major. On a more personal level, my family and I have been able to spend more time together before I go off to college, and I've been able to practice more and read, which is something I normally don't have time to do. Finding these silver linings and staying hopeful is crucial, because this pandemic doesn't define us, but how we respond to it does. Recovery from periods of misfortune are what bring people together. We must find this resilience and embody the eternal and unifying nature of the Native American air spirit. So step outside, take a deep breath, feel the air on your face, set new goals, find the resilience in you, and be thankful, because there is always hope.
The Sunnyhill Youth Group stands on the side of love and supports the cause of racial justice and is proud to say that Black Lives Matter here. Our designated offering this morning is going to support the Bucket Bail Fund. The Bucket Bail Fund of Pittsburgh was founded after Frank Bucket Smart Jr. passed away in 2015 when he was placed in restraints during a seizure at the Allegheny County Jail. The funds they raise go to provide bail to those currently incarcerated there, including those being arrested at the recent protests.
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you learn things you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or asked the grinning bobcat why he grins? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountains? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest. Come taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Come roll in all the riches all around you. And for once, never wondered what they're worth. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. The heron and the otter are my friends, and we are all connected to each other. In a circle, in a hoop that never ends. How high does the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, for whether we are white or copper-skinned, we need to sing with all the voices of the mountain, need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth and still all you'll own is earth until you can paint with all the colors of the wind.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer McLaughlin, and I serve as the Director of Religious Education at the Unitarian Universalist Church of the South Hills. The bridging ceremony is a time when we celebrate our youth group seniors as they make the transition from youth to young adulthood. Our bridging seniors this year are Emma Chotani, Lexi Lott, Simon Mortimer, and Elliot Pullen. Each of them are part of the Sunnyhill community in their own way. Emma is an amazing musician, exemplar student, and leader in our community. She is a member of the Three Rivers Young People's Orchestra and a Girl Scout. She loves nature and music and chose those two areas to impact for both her Gold and Silver Award projects. She loves to ski and be with her family at Seven Springs. Emma will be enrolling in McGill University in Montreal this fall with an environmental science major and minor in public policy and French. Lexi is a talented artist and dedicated Sunnyhiller. She has served as a worship associate for the last year, and her presence has been such a gift on Sunday mornings. Her hobbies include witchcraft, making art, and loving her friends. Her plans for the fall include studying psychology at Pitt. She would love to pursue a career as an art therapist. Simon is an athlete, scout, and entrepreneur. His Eagle Scout project was to create the playground at Sunnyhill to be enjoyed by children for years to come, and he was honored with the Adams Award in recognition of his work. Throughout high school, Simon could be found in the Sunnyhill Nursery on Sunday mornings, where he was a favorite of many of the youngest Sunnyhillers. He enjoys lacrosse, building projects, and finding creative solutions to problems. His plans for the fall include enrolling in Babson College in Massachusetts to study business in their entrepreneurship program. Elliot is a musician, actor, scout, and social justice advocate. He's a guitarist and songwriter and a member of the Evening Theater Company at Mount Lebanon High School. He has been a scout since age 6 and created the new walkway leading to Sunnyhill from Washington Road as an Eagle Scout project. Until our lockdown, you could find Elliot on Sunday mornings working with Bob Lee at the Sunnyhill Soundboard. Elliot is not only graduating high school this year, but as a dual enrollment student, he has also recently graduated with high honors from CCAC, with a certificate in Ethnic and Diversity Studies. He plans one more semester at CCAC, where he'll earn an associate's degree in social sciences in December. For now, his post-CCAC plans include travel, public service, and discovering the best way to use his gifts to make the world a better place. These 4 youth are wonderful humans. They're each kind, giving, caring, and super talented. It has been an honor to watch them grow, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. But I know they will continue to keep the Sunnyhill community close to heart. We invite all of you currently watching to participate in a virtual bridging ceremony, which will take place via Zoom directly following the service. I hope you will all join us for this important ritual, marking this time of transition for these fabulous young people. Thank you.
It's the shape of things to come, it's that moment in the sun. It's the wild and reckless turning of the tide. Sure as every shout begins with a whisper in the wind, can't deny it's quite a time to be alive. It's the changing of the guard, it's the calm before the storm. At the crossroads when you're forced to draw the line. Give some love and take a stand, because the future's in your hands, starting once upon a time to be alive. It's the sound of the alarm, it's the push against the grain, it's the single rebel candle that ignites a million flames. It's an ocean overflowing, flooding when the levee breaks. It's when you say, the sky's the limit, when the ground is giving way. It's the riots in the streets, it's a war you wage for peace. It's the opposition's brazen battle cry. Through a widening divide where alliances collide, fighting blindly for a time to be alive. It's the blazing path you pave with each turning of a page. It's the moral of a story gone awry. It's the poetry of truth, it's a song that sings the blues, singing softly for a time to be alive. It's the tolling of the bell, it's an echo loud and clear. It's the shackles round your ankles, it's the flowers in your hair. It's a floor plan for destruction, it's a roadmap toward repair. It's what appears along a highway leading anywhere but here. The progress through the cracks in a ceiling made of glass. It's a finger on the button, say goodbye. It's the anger in the crowd when they burn the cities down in the ashes of a time to be alive. It's the point of no return, it's the lessons that you learn. It's the flags or gods or facts you stand behind. Bridge a gap or build a wall, some will rise and some will fall. Either way, oh what a time to be alive. With our weary heads held high as we face an uphill climb, better keep on keeping on, cause a change is gonna come. Sing it loud, oh what a time to be alive.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Hi, I'm Owen Chapin, and today our closing words are written by Robert Kaufman. We come together to share our deepest concerns, singing and speaking words of inspiration and hope. We've committed ourselves to do what we can to ease the burdens of those who suffer, and to stand for decency and compassion. We have pledged to work for a more wholesome environment for us and the generations that will follow. But these are just words. The hymns we sing are just songs, and our reflections are just idle thoughts. When we convert them into loving and responsible action throughout the week, then and only then can this morning become what we want it to be. A time of worship.
Oh, 302. Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. At the end, we should do bloopers. Wait, we should do bloopers. Wait, my phone has been recently like.
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can